chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.
Hello, welcome to part 2 of this week's Goals Review, brought to you by Galaxy TQ. Thanks for sponsoring us as always. So, we've been asking some questions, which I still can't actually decide, but some of you have. So, Tom, fire away.
Yes, so a couple of questions this week. The main one today, the Great Escape is well and truly on at TQ1 after 4 wins on the bounce. Should we achieve safety? Would this be the club's greatest ever escape in our history? And on Twitter, we've got 3/4 of you saying yes, it would be the greatest escape in our history. 76.1% and 23.9% said no. Let me grab the comments.
What do you reckon, Chris and Tom?
I'd have to do a bit more. I'd have to do a bit more research to understand it. I think it's probably got to be statistical, hasn't it? I mean, I think something I've realised, kind of during COVID and since COVID, is quite how much you live in the moment. So yeah. I think I voted that actually, because I remember a time during COVID when you were like, life will never be the same again. I'll never be at a football match ever again. I'll never be in a pub again. And of course, now it feels like the most normal thing in the world again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think right now you would say yes, just because you're living in the moment, you're living in the emotion of what's happening right now. Yeah. I'd have to look at the stats of it. The Nicholson one felt pretty hopeless. Yeah. The club was a shambles. Yeah. The Atkins one, and at a higher level, might well be more of an achievement in terms of
the Brenda Dogs, the iconic one, and obviously
it is. That's more for fairy tale reasons, though, isn't it? I mean,
and because the club
wasn't as desperate as this, yeah. And of course, they're at high levels. But I mean, I think in terms of where we've been, how bad we've been, how badly we've got recruitment this season, to find a way out of this would be extraordinary.
And it still would be amazing. I wouldn't believe it, honestly.
I still maintain that the first season under Nico was probably the greatest escape, just because.
I'd say the second one is, I'd say the second one. Like winning the last, I mean, actually, to be fair, we were far away in the first one, but we won our last 3 games to stay up. I mean, that's just mental.
I think it just came out of nowhere that first season. We were hopeless that year.
Yeah,
absolutely hopeless for most of that.
I'll say the first one actually.
There's almost parallels to this season, to be honest. But
winning at
I mean, you look at the club. We were in dire straits financially. We were just getting beaten left, right, and centre that season. I mean, the away games I went to where we were losing 3-4-0, 5-1 was ridiculous. And somehow, like Bournemouth away was the start of, in my mind, the greatest escape, at least in my lifetime.
It'd be incredible if we did survive with the symmetry with that, wouldn't it? A headed winner at Bournemouth
every game,
being the catalyst for it all.
Yeah, if we have to stay, we still have to beat York, we still have to beat Altrincham, and then we're probably gonna have to get a result possibly at Chesterfield or at home to Wrexham. It would just be crazy if we.
The problem is still the games other people have got.
Yeah.
Because do I think we can beat York? Do I think we will beat York? And this sounds ridiculous because we'd lost all hope. And Don was saying we weren't going to win a game again this season about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But do I think we'll beat York? Yes, I do. Because it feels like you just feel confident. You turn up to game thinking we're going to win, don't you? Now all of a sudden. I think we can probably afford to lose 1 game between now and the end of the season.
Yeah. I still think we have to win every game bar 1.
I still think that Chesterfield one isn't a foregone conclusion. I still think we can go to Chesterfield and get something. Especially, I mean, I know I was thinking that they might rotate, and then you brought up a good point in the chat earlier about them fighting for that last semi-final spot.
It means so much to finish third, doesn't
it? But then they got trounced by York at home, didn't they, last week? So
they're inconsistent.
They're definitely beatable. But yes, going into the comments on Twitter.
We've padded nicely there. Well, she got yourself organised there, Tom. You can go into it now.
That's all right. But despite everyone saying it would be the greatest escape, the comments would kind of say otherwise. Harry TUFC says it would be the best escape and the best deadline day signing. We've got Marky says, no, I can't class avoiding relegation from this truly awful division as being class great. We certainly dug ourselves out the biggest hole in the first place, though. We've got Christopher who says greatest for the in the moment has to be Barnet in 2001 with the winner take all vibe.
Second birthday.
The greatest escape was probably under Atkins with 4 wins to drag us out into it.
No.
Can't avoid that. Surviving in the league is more than an achievement than the National League either. That's fair enough. We've got Jamie Pike who says Crew was the latest of escapes, but the greatest must be the time around under Atkins or even Stevenage not having their ground done in time. If Bates had never recorded that telephone call with their chairman, we might not have got away with it that year. Scott says surely the great escape was being saved by Bryn. We've got Peter Kluwer who says Ian Atkins' side in 2006 we were 6 points adrift with 6 games to go. We've got Tommy who says he pressed no by mistake, so that's no problem. Rachel says no, this 22-23 season has been a very poor league and we've been set up badly. It all comes back to the poor recruitment and the lack of adequate tweaking in areas crying out for improvement until this late stage. I think the Nico Great Escapes rank higher than this and also the 2000-2001 season. And we've got DP who says has to be the one under Ian Atkins, went to Carlisle's promotion party and ruined it by beating them. If, and it's a big if, we avoid relegation by beating Wrexham, then maybe.
It's interesting. I've just had a look at the league table just to kind of where we are now, and just as we record this.
Gateshead too, by the way.
That's just what I was just looking at. Yeah, I just saw that. So, something else I've just musing on, and I've just kind of got the league table. While we were talking, then is goal difference, because our goal difference has been horrific all season. But if you look at it now, we're now 5 worse off than Aldershot and Maidenhead. So if we can say we win a couple of games and they lose a couple of games by 2 goals, all of a sudden that could be quite close. We could potentially
relying on like Aldershot. Their new managers come in. Apparently, they're poor against the Oval, but to come back, I know EC are terrible from what we've seen, and they're currently skate set. But to come back from 3-1 down, that's going to be quite a lot for their confidence.
I still think we're looking at one of these clubs, and all of a sudden, the team who've got the hardest games, I think, is Maidenhead, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we're looking at one of those clubs. If one of those clubs can not get any points,
is get a point. Yeah, you're right. If they just get a point, they're basically safe because 50 will probably do it.
Yeah.
And we need, I think, still. Well, we've got 43. Yes, so we need quick maths. We need 2 wins. Yeah, we need 2 wins and more.
We've just got to take it game by game. I mean, a win against York, and you've dragged them into it because then we've got a game in hand on them, which brings us level. Of course, the goal difference, it could, they've got a better goal difference than we have, but that's all we can do. Because again, if we don't get a win, then all of a sudden it looks hopeless again. So it's fine margins, but it just goes to show how even after 4 wins on the bounce, we're still teetering on the edge.
Yeah.
By the way, there was 222 people who voted on Twitter. Thank you very much. And the majority on Facebook said yes, 88% to 12%. No comments though, but thank you very much to everyone who voted on that one. And I'll just get the second one up. Not very
just on that, I still think that it's still us or Aldershot, because I think for York, Maidenhead and Dorking to lose their last 3 games in Maidenhead's case, 4 games in Dorking's case, and I'm not even looking at Dorking. Not even looking at Dorking or Maidenhead, to be honest. I think as much as anything, I think this weekend is key. Just as much as anything, because we can put the blow torches on York behind us, because they'll feed us behind them if we beat them. But also, there's a potential we could get out of the bottom 4. And at this stage of the season, this late in the season, going into a game in hand on a couple of the others, to get some heat behind some of the others. Again, I think this weekend is key. A, because we can drag York back into it. B, because we get 3 more points. And C, because we could potentially get out of the bottom 4. Which then could make a big difference when we then not quite go into a free hit at Chesterfield, but then we're in a position where if we could go to Chesterfield and win, then all of a sudden we've got a real good chance.
Yeah.
You just want to be ahead of Aldershot come, say, Altrincham away, because if you're a point ahead against Altrincham and you win that game, then
the biggest problem with all of these conundrums and whys and wherefores is still, for me, I can't see us being mathematically safe before the last game. No. And that's a problem. Regardless of Wrexham have won the league, haven't won the league, whatever. If they've won the league, then it probably helps us a little bit. But either way, they're not just going to rock up and give it away, are they? They're not.
No.
That's still a problem. If we had a game, the last game you could look at and say, yeah, well, we could, if we're still tanking along and in good form, we could win that game. Then great. But that still looms a little bit large, that last game, doesn't it?
Yeah. Interesting question as well that we posted. I don't know about you guys, but if we had this starting 11 that we've had the last 2 games in August and had remained fit throughout the whole season, where do you reckon we would have finished?
About 10th or 11th. It could potentially come playoffs, of course, but it would still need a bit more around it in order to challenge for the playoffs.
This starting 11.
Yes,
but again, you look at the one I always remember is when you look when Liverpool won the Premier League, they never had an injury that season, and that 11 was as good as anyone in the world. But you look at the squad, and they'd had a couple of injuries that then followed the year after when they then lost all those home games and all the rest of it. It's the squad, isn't it? That team. If that team was fit for 46 games, we'd be in the shout of the playoffs. But that's obviously, that's not realistic, is it? So the squad, no, mid-table, but that team would be challenging for the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. So on that front, we had just over 30% reckon that the starting 11 would have got us into the playoffs. The majority, 61.1%, said comfortably mid-table.
Yeah.
3.6% said no better than we are now. And 4.8% said we would be champions. That's on Twitter with 167 of you. Thank you for that. And then we had a couple of comments on Facebook as well, which no doubt I've lost. Oh, there we go. So we've got Paul who says 12th bang on halfway. Mark says a lot higher than where we are now. We've got Ross who says anywhere above Hollywood FC or Notts County would have been great. And at least one place above the bottom four. And Nick says, what a question. Sadly, the answer is just above the drop zone. I would guess between 5th and 13th, right in the mix where I would expect us to be. So thank you, everyone, for your comments this week. I think if we'd had this starting 11, personally, we would be mid-table, probably where we were last season, to be honest. As a squad, it's probably not strong enough to be playoff material, but it should be easily enough to not have to worry about relegation. God, who said mid-table, finishing mid-table was boring, eh?
Well, I wouldn't know. It's never happened, does it?
Last season it was boring.
Yeah, but even then, like last season, it was like
really.
We went to Woking and it was like we've still got a chance. We're about 9 points off, but we still got a chance.
You're never fully mid-table, really, are you? Like that's the thing. You still got a chance of either way. But I know what you mean. Like it was still very outside. We had to basically go on the same one we're trying to go on now to get playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. So should we decide what's going to happen over these next two games then? York and Chesterfield. How many points are we getting? What's the scores?
3, I reckon. I think we'll win 2-0 and then lose 2-0.
New York score many goals?
No. I think we'll win 2-0 on Saturday, and I think we'll get a draw at Chesterfield 1-1.
I think
because we're just playing with such belief and such intent and such desire. Yes, they've got what they're fighting for, but just at the moment, if you're playing in that, if you're in that dressing room, you're playing in that team, you're going to feel like you can take anyone on, aren't you? And I think Chesterfield's home record has been ropey. If you look at, I haven't done it, but if you look at how many games they got in the first half, how many points they got in the first half of the games to now, I bet there's a massive swing because they weren't blow for blow with Wrexham and Notts County, but they were not a million miles away. What are they now? 25 points behind them or whatever. So I bet you their second half of the season has been massively underwhelming compared to the first half.
Yeah.
Well, they blew us away at Playmore, didn't they? Chesterfield. They were
the best side. They were the best side I've seen at Playmore this season.
Yeah.
They played the best football, and it was just embarrassing. That day was just embarrassing. They were better than us, but it's a different team now.
Yeah, so I was just about to say that it's a completely different side, and
it's lost to Shingwood, isn't it?
York's an interesting one because it depends how they approach it. Do they approach it knowing a win will probably keep them safe? Or do they think if we can get a point, then that will probably be enough? Yeah. And that's always dangerous when you're playing for a point, Eastleigh. I think we'll win 2-1. I think it'll be very nervy. It'll be very close, but I think we'll
I'm nervous about Torquay games again now. I was nervous and I'm nervous today.
And you know what? I'm going to be optimistic for Chesterfield. If we beat York, I think we go and beat Chesterfield 2-1 as well.
Wow.
That's not very,
I think the most important thing for us, as you alluded to earlier, Tom, is that we are within a game of Aldershot by the time we go to Altrincham. If we're within a game, i.e., even if we're still below them, but we're within 1 or 2 points, where a win, and then even if we've got beat again, but it all comes back to we've got to beat York. If we beat York, and then we say we lose at Chesterfield, but then obviously within there their games, that they've played, because they've got that game in hand as well. That if we're within a game of them come the time we go to Altrincham, and then potentially you could then look at that and say, well, you've got to go hell for leather at Altrincham, get the win there.
Because they won't have anything. They won't have anything to play for Altrincham at all.
No,
it's not like they've got an FA Trophy final to look forward to or anything, and they're not going down, they're not going up. So, and like, as I suppose I kind of viewed Maidenhead like, well, they've got nothing ready to play for. I mean, they've obviously got the outside chance of going down, but I think they'll just do enough like they always do. And we're motoring. I mean, even if the worst were to happen and we did go down, I was thinking about this. Obviously, we saw Scunthorpe got relegated over the weekend. Even if we did go down, is it better to go down fighting, or is it better to go down?
Oh yeah.
If you can keep the players, go down fighting, because a lot of these, I don't think obviously Newville would stay, but if there's a bit of momentum going back up,
even if you go down, you've got to go down from again, it's where football's a unique business, sport, hobby, momentum. Whatever you want to call it. You've got to show the people that pay their hard-earned money to watch you and support you that you care and that you've tried and you've done all you can. And I think if we go down, we can unpick that at the end of the season. But I think if this group of players can say and let's face it, with the way these players are playing, this is going to hurt them a lot. You look at how they're playing, what it means to them, how they're doing it for each other, the way they're reacting and responding to wins and support from the fans and all of that. This is going to hurt them a lot if this happens. Even people who've not been here very long. So again, it just feels like you're turning up to games now thinking that we might win, to hoping. You've always got hope, and there's that phrase: "It's always the hope that gets you," because you had no hope 3 weeks ago. Now there's hope again, and that's what. All the more.
You look at Yeovil and their situation. I mean, wow. Just imploding there, absolutely imploding.
And they've had the money as well.
It's crazy to think you've got possibly 2 former championship clubs, 10, 12 years ago?
Oh, they'll go
in the 6th tier next year, possibly.
It's incredible, isn't
it? I think that makes it even more important for us that we don't get relegated this season, because the division of us, Yeovil, and all these other, it's. But we're going to win 2-1 and 2-1, so it's going to be fine. But
I also think it shows how football. It shows 3 things. It shows how football changes and how you've got to enjoy the good seasons and the good moments. It shows how strong the English pyramid is to a degree, because you could, because it wouldn't happen in any other country. And I think it also shows how if you financially mismanage a team and a club badly enough, this is what can happen to you. Look at Scunthorpe; it's madness. But it's going to happen to Yeovil, and if it happens to us, if you look at our heritage and our history, how have we ended up in? How would we have ended up in National League South twice in 5 years? Part-time football, pub football. It just, but football's not played in history; it's played right now.
That's it. Sam, come on, you're going to give us wins across the board?
No, it's 2-0. I say 2-0. I think we will beat York on Saturday, but I think we'll lose 2-0 to Chester. It'll just be 1 game too many.
The key for Saturday is, at the risk of sounding like a PR man, because I was sat right in front of our PR guys at Maidenhead, but just get down there. The atmosphere is going to be great. The fans will I hope they get fans in 4 sides, because Gary clearly likes that, and it clearly has a difference on the players. We've just got to get as many people down there as we can, make it as challenging and as intimidating as we can. As fans.
I read somewhere they want to get 4,000 in. I'm not sure we'll get 4,000, but I think 3,000 is probably achievable. York have sold 1 block of Bristow's already. They always travel quite well, so.
We only got 3,200 in against Eastleigh, because we'd given away 300 tickets, whatever it was, to the fans behind the goal, which I think is a great initiative, and it gets people in, because next time they might want to go again, and next time they'll pay. I think 3,000 will be a good crowd.
Yeah, I like.
I think they should do it for Wrexham. Get rid of 500 tickets off Wrexham fans and put Torquay lot in there. It's fun talking about us, isn't it? I like it.
Yeah.
Isn't it much more fun? Sam's not grumpy at all.
No, I know.
Apart from Leicester, but
Oh yeah, and I will cut it out this week. People don't say that before I quickly took it back down. Yeah,
Sam, is the Great Escape on?
Oh, Torquay or Leicester. Put it this way, I am much more hopeful that Torquay will stay up than Leicester Football Club, so Torquay will stay up. Maybe it is on.
Maybe. Wow.
Let's
face it. By this time next week, it's all going to be a lot clearer, isn't it?
Yeah.
By 5 o'clock on Saturday, to be honest.
And Dom, we miss you. See you next week.
Oh yeah,
Well,
John wasn't there, was he? Oh.
No.
Mm.
And if those that haven't worked it out, Sam can't be rotated because he's the clever tech guy. So Sam can't be rotated out, so he's bulletproof. Whereas me, Dom, and Tom are clearly not.
Mm.
Nice
So
one,
there we
right?
go.
Here we go. Then let's do it.
Yeah, thank you for
Up you
watching.
yellows.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
In Gary we trust.
You need to get a more enthusiastic end, Sam. Yeah, good. Well, thanks. Yeah.
There you go.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benjamin. Sells.